Hey everybody, welcome to the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast, dedicated to raising awareness, sharing IBD stories, and offering support for those with Crohn's and colitis. Together, we can share knowledge, experiences, and help show the world the many faces of IBD. Well, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Gish, Crohn's warrior since 2006 and lifelong fitness fanatic. My guest today is Yovani Gonzalez, who you might recognize as the founder and owner of Purple Roots Clothing. Diagnosed 4 years ago with Crohn's disease, he's sharing his journey, inspiration, and raising awareness for IBD. Thank you so much for joining me today, Yovani, and welcome to the show.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. I'm actually super excited, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
You are more than welcome. I'm excited to have you on and ready to hear more about your story. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and jump right in? And why don't you start off by sharing your Crohn's story and talk about how you were diagnosed?
Yeah, no, of course. So I originally was first diagnosed January of 2016, actually a few days before my birthday. It was if you want to fall back a little bit more, it all kind of started, I'd say November, maybe October, November, and falling into December of 2015, where I was going to my primary doctor with, of course, excruciating pains that I just didn't know how to pinpoint. After tests and tests, she kind of mentioned words that I've never heard of, such as ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and a few other things. And I just had no idea what these were. So one day, of course, I was feeling really, really ill, and I was at work. And what really, really sparked me and just hit, like, I guess you could say, led me over the edge was vitamin C. Like the emergency kind of caps, like the ones you put in your water.
Yeah, when people are sick, they usually take the emergency.
Yes, absolutely. So I was at work, and one of my colleagues actually had mentioned, like, hey, you should take that because you kind of look like you're sick, and typical fever or maybe a cold. And I was like, yeah, I should. Well, for me, all that acidic, and though it's good for any other individual, right? I do recommend vitamin C in certain ways. But for me, all that acidic, it just blew up my stomach. It was just not the word. Like, yeah. So it just led to lots of harsh pains, excruciating pains, and a lot of vomiting. My boss looked at me and he goes, "You do not look good. Like, you look blue." And I was like, well, that's a good color, I guess. But so I don't think I should be looking that color. So he actually rushed me to the hospital. A few hours later, of course, my parents met me there. I ended up in the ER, just waiting and waiting. And to the point I just couldn't sit down. There was just that much pain, that much abdominal pain, cramps, of course, a lot of restroom breaks. And I was in the ER. And I got admitted in, I want to say 4 days, when they finally told me, like, hey, you have this thing called Crohn's disease. And I was just like, okay, what is that? Like, I've never heard about this before. Never been told this, nothing. One doctor did mention that it, if not cured or if not treated, it can lead to colon cancer. And that's when I was just like, what is that really on the table right now? Like, are we really having this kind of conversation? Of course, my mom being there, I mean, she just broke up in tears in the sense of, like, where is this coming from? So I ended up staying, I think I want to say a matter of 6 days in the hospital of tests. Obviously my inflammation needed to go down. And so finally it was to the point to a question of having surgery, to have I'm butchering it, I always say it wrong, the ileostomy bag? Ostomy.
Ileostomy?
Ileostomy, I'm sorry. And I decided not to. It was just my personal choice. Reason for that, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to do everything in my power before I start cutting myself open.
And it sounds like this was happening pretty quickly. I mean, it didn't sound like this had dragged on for years and years. I mean, this almost seems like it was pretty much kind of this one major catalyst event, and all of a sudden your world is just turned upside down.
Absolutely, absolutely. This did not come from years of pain. Like, and I've met a few people, and I really like I'm almost like, oh my gosh, like you dealt with it for so much longer than I did, you know. So this came from I actually thought this was a time frame where I was really, really into fitness. I was really into just kind of transitioning my body of eating cleaner, you know, of lots of pre-workouts and of course lots of protein. So I thought maybe, hey, maybe I kind of not taking the right supplements, so to speak. So maybe some of this stuff is, you know, affecting me. And I mean, maybe it was, but it wasn't nothing to pinpoint like, hey, that one supplement is what ruined you. No, it was a matter of like I'd say 3 months, you know, October, November,
Hmm.
December, leading into January, that just hit me hard, and it really changed. I mean, yes, I was working a lot during that year prior. Like I was in fact working from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. After that,
Hmm.
I was hitting the gym really hard and just trying to do everything I could because, you know, I felt like I was, you know, at that moment, like obviously as a 26-year-old, I thought I was
Yeah.
unstoppable, right? Um, and so, yeah, you know, that's kind of how it originally started.
So what happened at that point? You sounds like you turned down the ileostomy surgery, but you definitely had the diagnosis. So what did it look like at that point? Were you put on medications or did you try to tackle it from a different avenue?
Yeah. So originally, I mean, I'm going to say am very, very
Mhm.
openly. If not, I was more strongly very stubborn. I was more in
Mhm.
the mindset of just give me what I need and let's go. You know, just give me the
Mhm.
medications or, you know, whatever it is to stop the pain and let's go. So, of course, I was on steroids to stop the inflammation. I felt great, right? Because you, as I know, may or not know, like steroids stop a lot. And of course, they allow you to eat again. And so I felt good for I want to say maybe a month or two, and of course, you know, some pain medication and everything like that. And then I was actually put on. Oh my gosh, I'm losing the first medication that I was given. Not
Was it a
Entyvio.
pill?
No, it was actually put on prescription. So it was not Humira, not Entyvio, Remicade.
Remicade maybe?
Remicade. There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I was actually put on Remicade and it worked great. So once a month, I'd go into an infusion lab, you know, and I felt good. It didn't bother me for this lifestyle in the sense because I was fine. I was able to work, I was able to work out, I was able to still live my active lifestyle that I had wanted, eat, you know. But the thing is, I was not smart about it. I just thought this
Mhm.
medication is just going to make me feel good and I can still eat what I want. And ultimately, of course, you know, your body builds antibodies. And I'd say maybe less than a year, you know, I started crashing and I started having a flare up because my body got used to it and I was just not giving my body the right nutrients, I would say, and
Mhm.
vitamins to help it, you know? Um, so that was my first phase, I guess you can say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then, sure enough, I got admitted into the hospital. Um, and from there you know, it was just a lot of cycle of like what's working, what's not. I then got switched over to you know, obviously from 1 month, okay, let's do it every 2 weeks, you know, so really upping the dose into the max. And after a few colonoscopies within that year, I think it was total of two within the first year, after the third one they're like, hey, your colon is largely still inflamed, that means it's not working, so we're going to switch over to Entyvio. And of course, I
Mhm.
this is still a cycle of like, hey, like I know I should be eating better. Um, Ultimately, I should be doing a lot of things that I can control, but I just wasn't really listening to myself as much as I should have. Right?
Well, and I think especially when we're younger too, it's so easy to just see everybody else around you that's eating what they want and enjoying life and doing what they can. And I know, especially for me, I felt like, why should I have to control what I'm eating when I'm taking all these, biologic serious medications that should be able to fix it? And even for me, it wasn't enough. I still had to watch what I ate. And so it's a frustrating kind of cycle. So I completely get where you're coming from and where you were at, of just not being ready to dive in and clean up the diet because you want to enjoy life.
Definitely. No, this was definitely a phase of my life where I really saw it like, hey, why, you know, I'm getting these medications that are ultimately supposed to just, what I thought at the time, just help me live a normal lifestyle. why should I start to kind of hinder the rest of my lifestyle to fit this? And that's really ultimately what we start to do, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing that. I didn't have that mindset of like, hey, like you need to maybe do what you can, give it the right things in your lifestyle to not really necessarily like lean on the medication as much as I did. As much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
Entyvio was actually like a really bad phase for me about probably I'd say 2 months, maybe even 3 months of it did not work. It did not work for me. I probably was admitted to the ER maybe 3 times within those 3 months. Each time I would probably stay in the hospital, of course, maybe 2 or 3 days because of how
Mm-hmm.
drastic my flares up were. I think at one point I hit like almost 200. I think it was 200. I forgot what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
A flare up, and they had to put me obviously on prednisone, pretty harsh. I wasn't admitted and I wasn't released until obviously I brought it down to like 17s and 16 numbers, even lower than that. But that was definitely a phase. Um, yeah,
And that was probably 2000. You were diagnosed 2016, so that was probably 2017 that you had switched over to Entyvio and still kind of struggling with finding the right medication.
yeah. I want to say going ending of 2017, almost even into 2018 is when I really that was just a harsh time for me. I think mentally, physically, to see your body transition from what I was at 170 weight and in my comfortable weight. I've always been a slim guy because
Mm-hmm.
I just love being active. Um, from that, literally dropping to about 138, maybe 130, yeah, in a matter of like a month and a half. That was really tough. And of course, this doesn't help during a time of a flare up, right? Because your body is transitioning in ways that you don't want to. So you're struggling mentally, but of course you have to try to calm down and really not stress on your daily lifestyle that you want to live. But then here's a flare up and you're given lots of prednisone and other medications, so to speak, to help you. So I mean, it goes back to that whole, it's not a light switch that you can just turn off. Even though you see your body drastically change in ways that you can't control and ways that you don't want it to. And it was tough, to live what I would say like a really normal lifestyle, go to work and still be active. I had a pretty tough, demanding job. I was a salesman in construction sales, so
Mm-hmm.
it was tough not to meet the requirements that I needed to do. And of course now I'd taken I'd actually met, I guess you can say, like reconnected with a friend of mine who is now my girlfriend, who is now my girlfriend at this time frame and is now actually
Mm-hmm.
my fiance. She came on into
Congratulations.
thank you, I finally said yes. It was tough. I'm just kidding. So we've known each other since high school, so we know each other very, very well. But of course we finally stepped into the dating scene, and she jumped into this pretty early. I was diagnosed in January, so to speak, 2016. We actually started dating, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, like in April of 2016. So this is when I was really in my highs of Humira. I'm sorry, not Humira, Remicade.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was high, but then she saw the really bad times of Entyvio and the Remicade not hitting me very well. So for her to be here, at the hospital day in and day out, I mean, I'll say this to the rest of my life. Like I am beyond blessed to have her,
Mm-hmm.
because it's people like that that just keep me grounded. At the same time, just keep me just fighting.
Yeah, through that thick and thin, and they really are right there by your side.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
So tell me what happened after that point from Entyvio. So it sounds like you've got your partner your fiance, and she's supporting you, but you're still going through the rough time. And you, from what I can tell, you're in a good place now. So tell me kind of what happened, kind of navigate through those next couple of years.
Yeah, no, it definitely took a lot of change. And it wasn't necessarily change in medication, it was a change of lifestyle. And that was the
Mm-hmm.
big thing is when you start really transitioning your life to meet the requirements that like, hey, it's not like let me see how I can explain if I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but it's not like, hey, I wanna live the lifestyle that I want So I need to take this many medications. I didn't see it that anymore. I said to myself, like, I want to live the lifestyle that I want. So I need to do what I need to do in changing the lifestyle that best fits my needs. So I actually even took on a different role at work. Now I clock in and out. So when I'm done, I'm done. As opposed to
Mm-hmm.
before, I was a sales, and so I was always on call. And when you're in the hospital, you kind of get those rude awakenings. I mean, ultimately, whether it's people that come and go in your life, and you start kind of hindering those things out. But for me, what's huge is how blessed I am with my family, and how supportive my friends and my family are. So for them to see
Mm-hmm.
me in the hospital, even like my niece and my goddaughter, my nephews, I think they always see me as just a crazy uncle, wild, very just optimistic of anything. And I didn't want them to see me like that in the hospital ever again. So though it's happened, again,
Mm-hmm.
this is when things started transitioning. And of course, like I said, I'm blessed to have the fiance that I have, because she was like, okay, we really need to start looking into diets and lifestyles. Your workouts maybe need to change. Now you're dealing with fatigue. How can you start really changing my workouts? That's how we started questioning, like, how can we change our workouts that really still give you the endurance and the stamina that you want, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, you're not killing your body. Though I loved killing my
Mm-hmm.
body in the gym, it was not about that anymore. It was just like, okay, I just need to be more. I just need to find that stamina, that endurance. Um, so I stepped into different diets, but ultimately, for the past, I'd say, over a year now, maybe even going in 2 years, I've been on Humira.
Mm-hmm.
After Entyvio did not work, I've been on Humira, and they've told me, and we've mentioned to, actually, it's not working anymore. But it's been over a year, and I tell them personally, I'm not ready to change a medication, because I'm still like, I want to do what I can, health wise, diet wise, vitamin wise,
Mm-hmm.
before I completely close it out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually been, yeah, better, a lot better.
So, what are some of the different changes that you did make in your fitness? What were some of the workout changes that you switched to? What were some of the things that helped? And then talk a little bit more about food and what some of those diet changes were that you found were helpful.
Yeah, definitely into fitness. It was very tough for me not to go into the gym or any gym and want to max out, so to speak, as they say, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But now is more about endurance. So lighter weights and just longer distance, so to speak. So instead of actually, wanting to squat X amount of weight, it was like, hey, go on the bike and kind of push your legs that way, and you're still getting a good workout. You're still actually, so to speak, burning calories. Um, and so I started switching my ways of not necessarily heavy lifting, but just more
Mm-hmm.
endurance, body weights, and still pushing myself that way. I grew up playing soccer all my life, as well as basketball, volleyball. So I tore my ACL a few years back. So the fact that I couldn't play sports, I needed to find a new way to challenge myself mentally and, of course, physically. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
gym and hiking and just being more active. I mean, my fiance and I, we enjoy cycling. And another thing too, it was another thing that I needed to incorporate that I didn't know, which is yoga. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Yoga has helped me tremendously to slow down.
Yes,
um,
yes.
Slow down not only physically, but of course my mind. Because I wanted to go in the gym and just, I got 1 hour. Let's see what I can do, as much as I can do. And this is, that was my mindset for a long time. So I need to find a way of like, okay, I'm challenging my body, because my body is now moving in different ways when you're doing yoga,
Mm-hmm.
but it's challenging. And that was fun. And that it has been fun, because now I'm exercising myself in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been very, very fun. So,
I love that, especially because so many people that I've met and talked to with IBD is we all seem to have similar personality traits of just go, 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 go and being stubborn and just going as hard as we can until we drop. And so I think a lot of people kind of end up learning the hard way or just taking a long time to learn that we finally do need to rest and let our bodies kind of slow down, let our minds slow down, remove those stressors like you did with work, changing your roles and listening to your body, letting it guide you into different types of workouts and really listening to what it needs. So I think that's wonderful. And so many people I think are right there along with you will resonate with that.
Yeah, these things have been very huge, and it did not take an overnight process, right? It did not take an
Yeah.
overnight decision. Even for now, I mean, another thing too is sleep. I mean, I'm big on, if we ever go out, if we're out and about, understanding like, hey, I can stay up till 3 a.m., but it's that, let's just say midnight, after midnight, or 10 p.m., or for example, like, I've had my fun. Now let's just go home and
Mhm.
rest. Like, don't force it. Though
Yeah.
you can probably still continue having fun after a certain time, but at the end of the day, you're just also now diminishing, or if not, like, cutting away from other things that are important. And so I've really, like, take like, I've now made those things important to me, and it's not easy, and I'm sure you can agree that you've had to say no
Mhm.
when you've wanted to say yes, and I've had to say no a lot of night outs, a lot of, so to speak, parties. I'm not, of course, but it's understanding like, hey, this is what I need so that I can wake up tomorrow and not be hurting, and not be
Mhm.
frustrated, and not be upset that I can't function, the next day. So
It's playing that long game now instead of just the immediate gratification. It's let me plan this so that I feel good for the whole week and past that.
100%. Yeah, that's been a huge thing for me. It's not easy because I like I said, I'm pretty out there. Try to be,
Mhm.
but at the same time, like, it's like, you know what, this is just what's best for me, and this is the best way that I can give everyone the best of me. And
And I think it's great to hear that in the community, to know that I know sometimes we can feel alone, like we're the only ones that have to make these hard decisions or that we're walking this path. And so I think it helps to really hear that, you know what, I'm not the only one that has to say no or chooses to say no so that I can get to bed early so my body can rest and we're all kind of in this together. And I think that's important to know and to really understand that it is helping us.
yeah, no, I'm huge on that, and I think I could not agree with you more. I mean, understanding that, you're sometimes the way you think, or the way I think, it's gonna be a connection, and little do we know, and we're gonna find it sooner or later, where that connection of like, hey, we're understanding each other, and we're understanding the fact that your needs are very different from mine, but yet we appreciate, and we give credit, and we respect, that, your needs are different, and you need
Mhm.
that because it's what makes you happy, and that's one of the biggest things that I've learned so much these past 4.5 years, and of just dealing with this, so to speak, or living with this, and yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the food journey that you've been on. What kind of things have you changed? I love talking about food and hearing the different things that people can tolerate and what they cannot tolerate. So how's food looked for you over the past few years, and especially with Humira the last couple of years? Has that impacted what you can eat or what you can't eat? And then have you kind of changed and brought that diet piece online to where you're really making that a part of your journey too?
Definitely. I'm sure like everyone else, food and me either get along or we don't get along. It's tough. It's very tough. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a love hate relationship, I guess.
It is, it is.
Thankfully for me, I actually never liked spicy food growing up. And yes, I'm Hispanic, and
Mhm.
that was a tough thing, for my parents. But yeah, I actually grew up never liking anything spicy. So that was, I think, pretty easy for me. When
Mhm.
it comes to diet, I mean, I'm sorry, when it comes to like even as simple as like alcohol, I mean, I haven't had a beer in over a year, going on 2 years. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily miss it. I mean, I have my occasional wine, um, and I guess you could say my cocktails, but it's very limited now. It's not needed. You know what I mean? I just don't get that craving. Like
Mhm.
after a
Yeah.
long day of work, you come home and crave a beer. That's just not me anymore. It used to be,
Mhm.
but it's just not me. So that factor is gone pretty smoothly, and I'm very thankful for that. When it
What
comes
do you think helped that mindset shift?
the surroundings, I think the
Mhm.
changing of lifestyle. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you surround yourself with people that still have that, that mindset of like, hey, dude, let's go to the local bar after work and, have a beer. I mean, I can do that, and I have, and I will. But now,
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning, it was very hard to not order a beer. Let's just say that, or not order alcoholic
Yeah.
beverage while you're sitting at the bar. Um, and I struggled with that at the beginning. And then little by little, you start kind of, hey, you know what? I'd rather just go home and just watch the game at home, or watch the sports or whatever the occasion may be. I'd rather just do it at home. Then you start kind of getting used to that, and so you get more comfortable at a bar saying no to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does take practice, and it does take patience.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
ultimately, it does take having to be with the right amount of people, the right people that understand. Like, hey, dude, this affects me in ways that I can't really explain to you. Wheat, obviously from beers, like that just hurts me. So if you don't understand that, then maybe we should have a different conversation. Then let's not talk about be around each other, or like I said, these conversations are not easy as you're losing and gaining
Mm-hmm.
certain people in your life. But if you really want to give the best in your life the most for anything and everyone, you really have to be selective, right?
Yeah. And the people who do love and care about you, they're going to stay. And I'm sure you found that maybe there were a few that maybe you don't see as much, but the few that, do matter, I'm sure they're still there whether you're having a beer or not.
Yeah, there's one instance where I was within the first, I'd probably say 6 months, that I was going through this, and I'll never forget it. And these are things that I think now. I'm like, you know what? It just, I don't want to say it in a very cliche way, but there's people that are for the long. How does that say? That for the long haul, but there's some for the just
Hmm.
temporary phase in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was one scenario where a friend of mine just kept on really giving me a call or texting me or like, hey, let's go out. And I was like, hey man, I can't drink, whether I'm under certain medication or, right now I just can't, but we can still go grab some dinner, or still hang out. And I don't think they saw it that way. They just wanted to go out and hang, at a bar. And
Hmm.
those are the friends that I'm like, you know what? I'm okay without right now. Maybe someday in the future we'll come to better grounds, but this is a part of my life that I just need to be kind of selfish, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's that whole thing for me is I never want to be in the hospital. So I need to do
Yeah.
everything in my power to not be there. So
I think that's
that's,
great.
yeah.
So you've kind of cut out alcohol for the most part, except for occasionally, and no spicy foods. What else have you done with your diet to really
Yeah.
bring you to a good spot?
So one of the things that I did, and I am very, very like proud of, is I did in fact start seeing like a holistic doctor.
Hmm.
That's something that's pretty big to me. It was very different to open up in that sense because, to be honest with you, I grew up just being or knowing Western medicine.
Hmm.
So I wanted to branch out something different. Of course, the help of my fiance and a few friends and family members, I branched out to something different, and we tackled that on little by little, and it's been great, allowing me to open up in different ways, really understanding things that trigger me, not just like trigger a flare up through foods, but what kind of you know how do I explain it? Like when I eat, how is this going to make me feel? You know,
Hmm.
so during this time, it was actually a flare up. My last one, which was about a year and a half ago. Yeah, actually about a year and a half ago. I was already cutting
It's
out
awesome.
certain foods, such as let's try cutting out bell peppers. Okay, I was like, okay, well that's out. Let's say I even try cutting out rice. Okay, let's. It was a
Hmm.
lot of trial and error because as you start really finding out what foods you can tolerate and what foods you can't. For me, it was also that trial and error of like, can I drink orange juice, like freshly squeezed orange juice, or
Hmm.
I can't, but I can also eat an orange. So it was also finding out that the way it's processed or the way it's
Hmm.
how you digest it is very important, and those are things that I did not know nothing about. So I definitely give credit where credit's due. My fiance's been amazing at. She's more of a bookworm than I am.
Hmm.
She's done so much more research than I am because yes, I am in fact pretty stubborn. Um, but then we came across paleo diet, and
Mm-hmm.
then we looked in further, and we came across autoimmune. So it's called AIP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Autoimmune paleo diet, which was pretty tough for me. That one was a really tough one, but I decided to do that little cold turkey. We went into it, and I mean, I say we because she definitely helped me out with the cooking and just
Mm-hmm.
preparations of a daily thing. I struggled for about a week and a half. I mean, I was very snappy. My moods changed, and ultimately is because I had my favorite foods. I already had my foods that I was so used to, which was carbs, which was bread.
Yeah.
Rice, bread, egg whites. So I ended up having to cut those out. And this is kind of a temporary thing because with AIP, you're supposed to start incorporating those little by little. But by this
Mm-hmm.
time, your body should be able to tell you if it's too soon or it's okay. And this is the whole main focus of AIP is to help heal your gut by not eating things that are ultimately gonna affect your gut. So yeah, that was a tough phase. I'm not gonna lie.
How long did you do that for? Are you still doing it, or
I'm
was it
still
kind
to
of
this
a?
day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How
Now
long has it been?
over a year. Yeah, actually, I want to say
Oh, that's
since we
fantastic.
started, I want to say I could be butchering it, but maybe March. No, actually,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's been over a year. So
Oh,
I
that's
lied. I
fantastic.
want to say February was my last. February was my last little flare up that I had. So it's been 1 year. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what I do now is I'm pretty strict, especially throughout the week. And then, of course, if we go out, whether it's date night, then I'll find my good foods and I'll try to, you know. But now, yeah, I pretty much just have like I guess you could say like a cheat meal.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've just found it more of a cheat meal as opposed to a cheat day. So if I eat, let's just say I eat pizza, which I'm very, very picky about in the sense because obviously, how greasy it is too, and so I try to find the least greasy pizza if I ever do eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I eat pizza on a Friday night. Because I ate that on a Friday night, I really, really try to eat clean come all day Saturday or as much as I can Saturday, whether it's drinking a lot of water, my breakfast, how I eat my breakfast, what I eat my breakfast, very light foods. So that way I'm just not hitting my stomach or my digestive parts, um, like, hitting it with the bat over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people may be doing where it's like, hey, I'm gonna have a cheat day. So they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, very tough. Well, ultimately, to come back from that the next day, I mean, your body's just kind of like screaming for a little bit of help. Um,
Yeah, it really does make a difference, and that's something that I've certainly noticed myself too, is if I eat something that I know I shouldn't, I can pretty well handle it as long as I just do it that one time right then and I don't continue to just assault my system with everything I can think of for
yeah,
the next, 2 days, then it's
definitely.
then it's trouble, but
That's exactly what it
but there
is.
is
I
that
mean,
balance.
as much as I would love to have, Friday night pizza every Friday, I just can't,
Mhm.
so it's really
Yeah.
understanding like, hey, I just had Friday, I had pizza like last Friday. Like, you know what? I should have, just a healthier option. And for me, like I said, it's really about finding the right foods. And we've tried, like I said, I'm not afraid to eat bread. I'm not afraid to have a bowl of rice. But because I know I don't have it every day or even to say every week, I know it's not going to affect me as bad or it's not going to hurt me.
Mhm.
But, I'm sure as well as yourself, as many of other people, I've been in a restaurant, I've been in a restaurant where it's been about 3 or 4 bites in and I push it away, and then it's because it
Yeah.
caused me so much pain. And obviously my fiance kind of knows me already, so she's like, is it, and I was like, yes. And I'm like, and no, I'm embarrassed, whether we're friends and family, and they're like, why are you not eating? And I'm like, I just can't right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's good to have that support. I know it seems strange, but it's like our spouses or significant others, our partners, they're very in tune with us because I know my husband will very often. I've been doing good for a while now, but when I don't do well, like he can tell, and it's like just the look on my face or just the way my demeanor changes. He knows, and it's kind of like, all right, well, let's shift gears. What do we have to do different? And so
Mhm.
It's great to have someone by your side that, truly understands and supports you along the way.
Yeah, that's very huge. I mean, she actually a couple of weeks ago she even mentioned, she's like, I give you so much credit, and I was like, what? I'm like, I took out the trash, no big deal, like I'll do it. Yeah. But she was like, I've seen you say no to sweets, and cinnamon rolls and cookies
Mhm.
so much that I've like, before you just didn't, and she goes, I was like, you know what? I mean, it's the simple things of simple. It's like, is it worth it? Like, yes, the
Yeah.
minute craving. Who knows? I don't know. I might be wrong. Maybe it is. Don't get me wrong, but it's just one of those like I'd just rather not. Yeah, and like I said, it's those days that I'm like, you know what? I don't need it. 2 hours later, I'm like, I forgot all about it, right? Or
Mhm.
this is, and it's just, yeah.
Well, and a year and a half without a flare up is incredible. So that's fantastic. And so keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you. It is a lot of discipline, but it's taken a lot of the, what I would say, certain little things that people have mentioned. Or I mean, I had one doctor, and it was a GI, and he goes, you know what, I don't think your traveling can ever really be the same, ultimately, because of the way you are and the way things should be. And I was like, what do you mean? You're like, well, maybe long flights. And I was like, well, I'm prepared to be careful. I'm prepared to plan for things of
Mhm.
that nature. He goes, yeah, but you're not going to want to really, even your weightlifting, it's not really ever going to be the same. And I'm like, I hey, I mean, I just looked at him, and I looked at Melissa, which is my fiance, and she knew, and I was like, for me, it was just like, I love the challenge. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you just tell me
Challenge
about it.
accepted.
Exactly. I'm all, you know what? My next visit, I'll be sure to send you the pictures of me in New York, or whatever the case is. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, let me put that kind of decision on myself,
Yeah.
whether I fall or fail, and I regret it later, and you might say, I told you so. I mean, don't put walls that aren't necessarily needed to be there.
Mhm. Don't put that preconceived notion out there and then limit yourself because that's what you heard. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are some of the are there other lifestyle changes that you've done? You've kind of switched up the workouts, yoga became a part of your practice, your diet. Are there other things that you've done over the past year and a half that you've found to be beneficial?
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
I recently moved, or we recently moved. So that was kind of big for us. We actually just moved about in this past December. So I'd say 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we actually moved to Palm Springs, California.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah. And for us, I mean, buying a home is really big, and I know it's going to happen. And it's definitely on our, to-do list. Like I said, one of those things that comes up with me and my lifestyle now is medical bills and our lifestyle, right? It's
Mhm.
choosing the healthier route, with which some can argue that it's a more expensive route. So
Mhm.
with those, you start really making decisions of like, hey, though I love my city, and though where I was raised in the area, in the community, I was like, you know what, I probably need a slower paced life. And as well as she took a great opportunity to move, and we had discussed it. And we're like, you know what, let's move. I mean, it's slower, less traffic. I'm not sitting on 1 hour of traffic from to and from work, and she's not either.
Mhm.
So that just brings such a big like sense of tranquility of like, hey, like, that's just time that you don't need to be in your car, stressed out, upset, yelling at people or whatever.
Mhm.
So all those things take an effect. And of course, it is a little bit just, yeah, a little more spacious out here, which is awesome.
And probably sunshine, I imagine, in Palm Springs.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So a lot of sunshine. One of the things, it does get pretty hot. It's in the desert, so it's we're probably looking at maybe 120 in
Mhm.
summer. So it's something we're going to prepare for. But of course, also understanding like it's the cost of buying a home, it is a lot less. So that's, all
Mhm.
those things, it affects you so much mindset wise, that of course your body just triggers from there. I've mentioned it before, like, hey, if you ever had a fight, like you ever had a fight with your spouse, and you're so upset that you lose your appetite. Well,
Mhm.
that happens. And that's how things are in life, in the sense of like how much it affects your gut. So if you ever have like a bad moment, a sad moment, a frustrated moment, you have no idea how much you're really affecting your gut. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, I've been blessed, like I say, and I'll say it again. I'm super blessed with my family, friends, and of course my fiance to just have them understand me. Have them understand that I am gonna have my bad days. But to answer your question, it's really about honing in on the core foundation, like the root of
Hmm.
like who you are and what keeps you grounded and what's your anchor, and just always going back to your anchor. And that's just really big to me. So yeah, I mean, trying different things too. I mean, I was always big on trying yoga, and then it wasn't until I tried yoga and I was like, oh man, this is like so much more challenging than I thought. But it was an exciting challenge. Hiking, now we're trying to do a little more activities such as like mud runs. And like I said, just I don't know, I'm continuing to still try to explore as much lifestyle
Yeah.
and not really build of like, oh, I'm sick or I may be ill. Yeah, I'm going to be ill. And those days I'm going to rest. And if you don't like it, it's just not something that for you to really like anyways. But the days that I'm not, you best believe I'm just going to make the best of my life.
Well, and I love your desire and your dedication to being adaptable. And so, kind of as you were talking about, even with the travel, where it's, like I'll take on that challenge, but you're constantly finding new ways to navigate things and you're looking outside the box and you're looking at the problems differently to be like, all right, well, this is the current hurdle and let's see what I can do to get over it. And I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. I've definitely just try to just be as optimistic as I possibly can in life. It's kind of something I've always just kind of carried with me in the sense of, I mean, you go back to that simple thought of like, it can be worse,
Hmm.
and though I mean, I just give a lot of credit to the people around me, that understand me, that appreciate, myself. And I just hope that like to believe I try to have a good head on my shoulders who's still striving. And yeah, it's a push, but
So tell me a little bit about Purple Roots clothing. When did that come into the picture? And talk to me about how and when you got that started and the advocacy that you're doing from that.
yeah. So, Purple Roots is pretty awesome.
It is.
So Purple Roots originally was kind of founded by an idea of myself that I was originally, a good friend of mine, one of my best friends. We really had always talked about like, I mean, not always talked about, but it kind of came up like, hey, what would you think of kind of starting like a clothing brand, geared toward fitness. And it just makes it us just really ruthless of like what we do, of just always pushing ourselves, always. And I loved it. I also had actually I worked in retail for about 10 years prior to
Hmm.
like the construction industry that I'm in now. So I love clothing. I love looking good. It's just one of those things. I just like clothes as in general. So that's always been a little bit of a niche, I guess you can say. But then
Hmm.
one of the things that really struck me, is I did want to actually like help raise awareness to something, and what was something that was important to me, which was clearly what I'm going through, Crohn's disease. It
Yeah.
was as simple as what I wanted to kind of search for Google. There's probably a lot of things that I'm kind of hopefully let's see if I'm saying it right. So bear with me.
Hmm.
Kind of for me, I found that whenever I searched, like a clothing company in support of Crohn's disease, I just felt it was very loud of like, hey, I have Crohn's, like boom, 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 right?
Hmm.
That's cool. I actually, I have some of those shirts today.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to make something where it's like, it's for a cause, but you can wear it every day. It's not
Yeah.
screaming like I have Crohn's disease, my gut, I don't have one or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
it's something that I can wear, or someone that who doesn't have Crohn's disease can still wear, and it looks very, very
Hmm.
fashion forward. Geared towards an active lifestyle. But at the end of the day, it's a cause, and of course, root to me, the word roots really founded from like, hey, what keeps me grounded? What is the main foundation of why I wake up every day and I just still try to be as happy as I can, and live the best life, and those are the things that I feel like anyone should like find the things that make you happy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Find the things that keep you grounded. Find like your anchors, find the main roots of your lifestyle, whether it's family, friends, work, passion, um, so to speak, lifestyle of like working out. And I don't mean working out at just the gym, of course, right? Yoga, hiking, cycling, any type of martial arts. Like, what is it that really keeps you like the main roots of your branch of like how you flourish in life?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has that. I think everyone has that. I mean, some may show it, some may not. I think just everyone just needs to find it, and that was just my thing of like, hey, this is what I feel like is, and obviously one of those roots being Crohn's disease. I mean, that's just one of the geared towards the roots, and that's kind of why some of the roots are colored in purple and some of them are not, because at the end of the day, it's a piece of me. It's not all of me.
Yeah.
And then purple was just, of course, because purple of Crohn's disease. um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was.
I love that. I love the roots. I love the purple. I love the symbolism of what the roots are, and how you kind of express that anyone can wear it. It's your roots. What are the roots that ground you and make you who you are?
Mhm.
I love that. So how long ago did you start it? It was just a couple years ago?
Actually, less than a year ago, I actually first like design, and I like I said, I like just drawing. I like fashion. So I just put all these little small things into play. I mean, I told my friend, I was like, hey, to be honest with you, like I'm kind of gonna do this, at what I would say like my own pace of things, at my own time. This way, I don't necessarily like the best part about this and the best part about process is I know it's going to be very slow, but it's at my pace.
Mhm.
Reason for that is, let's just say I get a flare up and I'm out in the hospital or 1 week or 2 weeks and I don't really feel like posting anything or anything like that, right? This way I'm just at my own pace. If I choose to post things and announce a new upcoming shirt or a women's sweater that I might come out with, like it'll come out at my own pace and I don't feel pressured or I don't feel, in anyone's other timeline.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's going to be my journey. It's something I mean, the whole thing is to hopefully be an advocate and be an ambassador of my own company, of what I do and what I live with every day, which is Crohn's disease.
Mhm.
So if I can inspire someone else to just keep on pushing by the simplicity of a t-shirt, then that brings me so much. Like I'm beyond blessed if I could ever do that. So that is kind of where I felt that I'm just going to do it at my time, at my pace, at my own, and I want to start little by little. Like, hey, I'm testing out different garments and different designs, all because they come to mind for me. It's just like, hey, let me draw it
Mhm.
out. I've teamed up with great people that have, a printing company, and little by little, I'm like, hey, let's just try this. So it's a very slow process, but little by little, and that's the best part. It's just gonna be at my pace. So
That's fantastic. And what kind of things do you have now? You've definitely got t-shirts. What else do you
yeah,
have in your line?
so it's very small, but
Mhm.
it's I do have men's t-shirts. Another thing is crew necks, pullover hoodies, and women's tank tops, women's racerback, and obviously going into summer. I mean, especially for us in Southern California over here, I definitely want to, and we'll be coming out with a women's tank top as well as a men's tank top. And then, like I said, it doesn't always have to, spill out purple roots right in front of you. Some of them it's going to be fun. Some of it's going to be very inspirational that anyone can wear, and that's my goal. And of course, I definitely want to link it to where, it already is linked to where proceeds do get donated to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. So of course, it's definitely back to a meaning and to something that's really important to me, because I have in fact met little kids, teenagers
Mhm.
that actually have Crohn's, and I had it. I got it when I was 26, so I didn't necessarily deal with the troublesome of of school, bullying,
Yeah.
things of that nature. So that's pretty tough for me. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing my part to help support, and if not, like, just kind of hopefully inspire other individuals, younger kids that are kind of going through a tough time. They don't feel like they can do a certain sport because they maybe have the ostomy bag. Sorry, I'm saying it wrong.
Ostomy.
Ostomy bag,
You can shorten it.
Yeah, sorry, ostomy bag, and those things. Because I did meet someone who wants to be homeschooled. Was a great kid. His name is Matthew, from Orange County. He wanted to be homeschooled because he just didn't feel comfortable playing in basketball, at the gym, changing in the locker room because he had the bag, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah, it really tugs at your heartstrings to. Because just like you, I was an adult when I got diagnosed, and I try to envision what it would be like as a child. I mean, high school, middle school, it's already hard enough when you don't have any health problems, but then you throw in something like that, and it's just a whole different mountain to climb.
Yeah, especially because we all can agree that there's no book, there's no, 1, 2, 3 steps of how to live with this. Everyone's different. And it's very hard to understand that, right? Because, what you can eat, maybe I can't, and vice versa. And so it's not a tough pill. I mean, it is a tough pill to swallow to understand that, to come to agreements that like, hey, this is my journey, and though I have, hopefully, everyone has a great background of inspiration and maybe some great roots of support. But some people don't, at the same time, some
Yeah.
people may not. And that's where I hope to maybe find that page of myself, as well as, hopefully on social media, of just trying to inspire someone like, hey, if I can post a pic that I'm at the gym trying to work on my life, and hopefully you can too, whether it's, it doesn't have to be at the gym, but just taking some steps of growth and challenge.
I love that. I love seeing the inspiration, and you definitely have that on your page. And I love seeing all the different people in the community that really do show that side of IBD, that you can conquer things, you can come out on top, and it's important to share that message. So, speaking of social media, if people want to follow you, learn more about you and Purple Roots Clothing, where can they find you online?
Yes. So, got some bad news on that. I'm just kidding. No. So, definitely right now, in the works for my website, in hopes to, drum roll, hopefully launch actually, ending of next month, no later than
Fantastic.
that, which would be, like I said, pretty exciting to just kind of really showcase everything. Right now, Instagram is definitely my main forefront of things. Purple_roots_clothing. Again, that's purple_roots_clothing. That's definitely the page that I try to link up as and showcase anything, that I may come out with. And then actually Facebook should be coming out actually within the next week. So little by little, I'm definitely trying to connect as much as I possibly can and just really try to make it a good streamlined order process, and hopefully another way in any avenue to just tell my story of,
Yeah.
where I come from, why I choose to do what I do, and hopefully, like I said, inspire someone else.
I think it's absolutely wonderful. I'm going to put all those links in the show notes, and you'll probably have the Facebook up by the time this airs, so I'll be sure to include that if you've got that up. But I'll put that in the notes so that it's easy for everyone to be able to find. We've talked for quite a while. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share with the community today?
That's a tough question. No, I'm just kidding. No, you know what?
I mean, we've covered a lot already.
I know, right? I mean, I feel like I can talk for days. No, you know what? Honestly, for me, it's I'm not afraid to be open, and I just really recommend, not that everyone needs to be open, but just don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to just open up about these situations, whether you're going through some things, because I understand firsthand of how it can lead to other issues, depression, anxiety. And I've been very fortunate enough to, like I said, find really good exit routes of, not getting into those or not digging deep. But when you don't understand what you're going through, or you don't understand what's changing or what's happening in your body, it's really hard to, it's really easy to step into the negatives, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really, I mean, I just, if anyone can ever hear, it's just, please don't hesitate to reach out, to ask me any questions, whether health tips, physical tips, working out tips. But most importantly, understand that I am an open book. I will tell you things that I've taken, whether it's medications, supplements, vitamins, things that have not worked out for me. Yeah, it's been a journey, but I'm very optimistic. I stay very positive as much as I can because I'm just, I'm blessed. And so, yeah.
Well, thank you. Your optimistic voice is definitely needed in our community, and I appreciate you putting the opening out there to encourage people to talk with you and to ask you questions, and being a voice that they can talk with and learn from. So thank you for that. And thank you for visiting with me today and sharing so much of your story and sharing some of the background and the history on Purple Roots clothing.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, Stephanie, thank you so much, honestly, for the opportunity. It's honestly a huge honor. I'm super excited for us to maybe connect again in the future. I definitely enjoy all your positivity on your page, all your posts of just workouts, and just, it's very inspiring for myself, and it's people like you and other individuals that just really keep me like, hey, we're not alone, and understanding that. And it's like, hey, we can all do this. So just thank you.
Well, thank you. And it definitely, ditto. I feel the exact same way. I love watching your page and your posts, and I love the inspiration. So we need more of that. So let's both keep it up.
Let's do it.
Hey, everyone. Many of you know how much I love the Intestinal Fortitude supplements. Ever since discovering these products when I interviewed the founder, creator, and Crohn's warrior, Will Jenkins, for this podcast, I've been using their probiotic, gut lining repair, and anti-inflammatory. These products were developed by a Crohn's warrior specifically for those of us with IBD. And for me, they have become an important part of keeping my symptoms, including mucus and inflammation, at bay. I truly love these products, and now I'm excited to let you know that if you use code CFF10, that's CFF like Crohn's Fitness Food, you can receive 10% off your order. Visit crohnsfitnessfood.com/IF. And if you want to hear more about the creator, Will Jenkins, be sure to listen to episode 11 of this podcast. Thank you for listening to the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have an IBD story, either as a patient or a family member, that you'd like to share as a guest on this podcast, or if you have a topic you'd like to hear about, send me an email at crohnsfitnessfood@gmail.com. If you'd like to learn more about me and my Crohn's journey, follow me on Instagram using @crohnsfitnessfood, or visit my blog for in-depth articles about my struggles and victories with Crohn's through diet, fitness, and lifestyle at www.crohnsfitnessfood.com. And finally, remember, be strong, be grateful, and be the warrior that you are.